Hey everyone, welcome back. And this is another anime review. And this review is of Bleach Season 4. Okay. Bleach Season 4. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done a Bleach Season review. It's been almost a year, actually. I've done the first two, so now it's time for me to do number 3. Alright. So, Bleach Season 4. What is there to say about the seasons? Basically, there's the first of 2 seasons in this next arc, which is the Bound arc, the first of the filler arcs. So if you're not interested at all in fillers, please leave right now, because the Bound is filler. Obviously, fucking everyone knows it by now. Okay, the Bound is filler. So if you're not interested in fillers, please leave now. For everyone else who are cool, you may stay. Okay, so, Bleach Season 4 takes place almost immediately after the Soul Society arc, you know. Ichigo's at home resting up, and he's pretty relaxed at the moment. However, a new threat is approaching the Soul Society, the Bound. Alright, the Bound... Sorry about that. The Bound were a race that the Soul Society actually created hundreds of years ago to create kind of like a super soldier, I guess you could say, in the Department of Research and Development to help them fight wars. And they are incredibly powerful, so if they could have controlled them or allied themselves with them, they would have been a huge asset. However, they ended up developing human emotions and feelings and whatnot, which is something that the Soul Society did not count on, so they rebelled, and thus the vast majority of them were wiped out. However, the woman who spearheaded the program, Ron Tao, helped a few select ones escape, or rather, those are the only ones she could help escape. Notably, a young boy named Jin Karya, who I believe was the youngest of the Bounce at that time. Alright, so... After that, she was discovered, and she was stripped of of most of her powers, and it might even been all of her powers, not too sure really. And she was sentenced to live forever in the Rukon district to live out the rest of her days. All right, now in the present day, the Bounce have returned. Jin Karya is leading this small group of Bounce, along with the other few select Bounce that have. That survived, namely Yoshino Soma, Yoshi, Go Koga, who's kind of Jin's right-hand man, I guess you could say, Sawatari, Ugaki, Mabashi, Ryo Utagawa, Ho, and Ban. All 10 of them end up coming to the Soul Society in order to get their revenge. And that's basically where it's set up from. Now, each of the Bounce has a special weapon known as a doll. And each doll has special powers. For example, it has a name and powers. For example, Jin Karya's doll's name is Messer, which he actually infused into his body. So it basically became a part of him. And it allows him to control wind. But you wouldn't believe how fucking powerful he is with the final battle with that. However, that we don't learn until Season 4, which is the second and final season in the Bound arc. Alright. Yeah, you wouldn't believe how powerful he gets with the final battle, though. Alright, and Go Koga has the doll known as Dalk, which basically turns into a giant spider-like woman. Alright, it's really weird shape. And that's basically his doll. Yoshi has a doll that, I forget the name, but it basically turns into a fan and a sword. And she can fight with both of them. I believe one of them controls wind, and one of them might control electricity. I don't remember for sure, but still pretty cool. And Yoshino Soma's name is Gazelle, and it basically turns into a giant a golem creature that controls fire. Alright, and Sawatari's is a giant whale. And its power is that it's able to go in between dimensions. All right, so it can literally phase into another dimension. That's basically its own dimension. All right, no one else can enter unless it allows them to. Which basically, that's how it defeats a lot of enemies. It defeats a lot of enemies by eating them, and then it will show up in that. Then they'll show up in that dimension to live forever until they die. See here, others. Ugaki is a real nerd, and he has these tarot cards that he uses to control his doll. I forget what its name is, and this doll is really hard to describe. So I'm just gonna say go look it up or go watch it. It's really hard to describe, but he controls it using these tarot cards. All right, Mabashi has the doll Ritsa, which is basically a tiny, like little flower woman thing, but it's actually able to fuse itself inside other people's bodies and allow Mabashi to control them. And Ryo Utagawa has the doll Fritza or something like that, which is basically a snake that has the power to strangle enemies and bite them and injecting her venom into them. And Ho and Bon are twins who have two different dolls, but they're both kind of the same, and they're both always seen together. They both die together and whatnot, and they're basically just giant water creatures. All right. I think. Yep, that's it. In order to summon their dolls, they have to use these special rings they have on their fingers, and if the rings are destroyed, then they die. Then the dolls and themselves dies. Alright, so yeah, that's basically the gist of the bounce. Already that sounds awesome. I don't know why people hate this arc so much. And it's not just because it's filler, because let's be honest here, there's fillers that people love, such as the Zanpakuto Unknown Tales arc, which I'll review in the far future when I actually get to that arc. It's my personal favorite filler arc too, mind you. This is my second favorite. Alright, which is interesting because it's actually the longest arc, clocking in a total of 45 episodes if you count both seasons. Alright, this first season is just like 26, I think. So yeah, but the arc itself is the longest filler arc. Maybe that's the reason why people didn't like it so much. It dragged on longer. But, anyways, though, that basically sums up what the bounce actually are. And in this first arc, they are just in the world of the living. Basically, Jinkaria's plan in this first season, his plan in this first season is to sacrifice Yoshino Soma, one of his bounce and one who always rebels against him, in order to summon trillions of dolls known as the Bito, which are basically flying bee-like dolls, as an armada to launch on the Soul Society when they enter that. Okay. Now let's talk about Yoshino Soma. Yoshino Soma used to be Jinkaria's wife. Alright, but they ended up divorcing, and she always rebelled against him because she used to love him, but after a while she realized that his plans weren't so just for the bounce, so she started to turn away from him. Alright. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about her, and she actually ends up fighting against Jinkaria at nearly the end of the arc, or the season. Unfortunately, she does end up getting sacrificed, but it's a pretty epic fight, though. It's very emotional, too, alright? She actually ends up fusing with her doll. Alright, although unlike Karya, which when he fused with his doll, obviously it just looks like him, because from I believe it's supposed to be presumed that he was fused with his doll at the beginning of the arc. The arc where Yoshino fused with her doll on the spot, but anyways, she fused with it, and unlike Karya, who still looked like himself, obviously, Yoshino didn't. Alright, the appearance that you saw was of her doll Gazelle. Alright. And it was a really epic fight with Karia, great animation in that fight, and very emotional. I just loved it. But unfortunately, she lost and was sacrificed in order to summon the Beto. And she actually ended up, and Uryu Ishida actually ended up becoming very, not intimate, but he started to develop feelings for her, definitely. Alright. In some way, anyways, whether it was romantically or as like a mother figure or a sister figure, whatever it was, there were some sort of feelings, okay? So, yeah, and actually Uryu in this arc, you never really see him fight at all, except for briefly, because he uses a special thing that allows him to briefly have powers again, because remember, he lost his powers at the end of the Soul Society arc. But at first he has no powers. Alright. And that's basically all there really is to say about Yoshino Soma. She's definitely my favorite of the bounce, though. Then, of course, there's Jin Karia himself. Now, Jin Karia wants revenge on the Soul Society, obviously, for them abandoning or trying to wipe out the bounce all those hundreds of years ago. And he tries to convince Ichigo to the bitter end that it's pointless for him to fight for everyone because they'll just turn his back on them, just like they did with the bounce. And Ichigo, being Ichigo, obviously doesn't listen to him. If he did, we would not have had the fucking Arrancar arc, or any of the arcs past this. So yeah, but anyways, though. What I like about Jin Karia, you could kind of count him as a generic villain, I guess, in a way. But what I like about him is, his backstory is still sympathetic. Because it's like, he was just a little boy when all this happened. When the Soul Society initiated mass slaughter on the bounce. And the only one who helped him was Ron Tao. Of course, Ron Tao did try to stop him, so he did end up fighting her. But the only one who tried to help him and the others was Ron Tao, because she didn't believe in wiping them out. She believed that there could be some sort of a agreement made, but of course there were many of the Bounce that didn't want that. They just wanted to take control. So of course the Soul Society did what they had to do. But Ron Tao still disagreed with it, so she did help some of them escape, which of course led to her banishment and whatnot. So yeah. But I like Jin Karia because of that, but also, because, well, first off, he's voiced by Troy fucking Baker in the English dub, who is the voice of, well, I guess I could say he's the voice of Joel in the game The Last of Us that was released earlier this year. Great game, by the way. But he was also, more notably, the voice for Pain from Naruto Shippuden. I know, not Nagato, just in his Pain form. All 5 of the male bodies of Pain he voiced, which is awesome, of course, and he does a great job here too. I recognize his voice immediately. He does such a good job voicing Karia here that, yeah, it just adds to the epicness that is Jin Karia. Okay, maybe the epicness is a bit much, but you know what I mean, though. Alright. I'm not a huge fan of any of the other Bounce, except for Sawatari, who is actually the oldest of the Bounce that presented in this arc. And the reason because, this actually brings into a portion of the plot that I forgot to mention. Basically, the Bounce had a rule that they will not absorb human souls, alright, because it allows them to live forever. But if they absorb too many, then they'll age like crazy physically. Alright. However, Sawatari disobeyed this rule, and he constantly absorbed living souls. Okay. And so that's why he looks like a regular old man. But he is indeed the oldest of them. And he, actually, in his mind, he wants to be the leader of the Bounce. So he has plans to... He's had plans for years to overthrow Karia. Unfortunately, he was in the season 4 he ended up being defeated by Mayuri, so he didn't end up being able to carry out these plans. But he desperately wanted to be the leader of the Bounce because he felt that because he was the oldest, he had the most experience, and he felt that he was stronger, or at least could be stronger than Karia. he wanted to be the leader of the Bounce. All right, so that's why he was kind of interesting. Although all the others I'm not too big of a fan of, though. Mabashi is just your generic psychopath. He does get kind of it's kind of interesting when he actually protests to all the Bounce wanting to absorb living human souls, but then Karia ends up beating the shit out of him. Like, literally beating the shit out of him and changing his mind. Which is kind of interesting. See, even Aizen never did that. Aizen just raised his spirit energy and intimidated the person enough, but not Jinkarya. No, Jinkarya just beats the everlasting fuck out of you if you don't do what he says, alright? That's the Jinkarya way right there. Okay, I'll tell you that right now. But yes. Alright, so in that respect, Mabashi's probably my third favorite of the Bounce. Alright, but he wasn't an incredible character, I didn't think. Then we had Yoshi. Or wait, no, my fourth favorite, because Yoshi no Soma was my favorite. Jinkarya is definitely my second favorite. Sawatari is my third favorite, so Mabashi would be my fourth favorite. Then there was Yoshi, who was kind of like throughout the entire thing, a generic psychopath. All right, didn't really care much for her. Ugaki, we didn't really see much of at all. He died in the first season before they even invaded the Soul Society. And my fifth favorite would actually probably be Ryo Utagawa, because he actually did attempt to overthrow. He actually did attack Jinkarya in season 1, I believe. Similar to how Yoshino did, although to be fair, Yoshino lasted a hell of a lot longer. Alright, because he wanted to overthrow him. However, he ended up being taken out by Maki Ichinose, who is a character that I will talk about in a little bit here. Alright, he's a new character, a Soul Reaper, but I'll talk about him in a sec. Yeah, and I didn't care much for Ho and Bon either. They were the first ones revealed and the first ones taken out. Although it's pretty cool that they control water, because you can't escape from water. Just like they say in here, you can't escape from water. Alright. So that's pretty cool, but they're definitely my least favorite of the Bounce, though. Alright, so yeah, but that's talking about the Bounce, though. I think, the ones I think that are kind of interesting are Yoshino Soma, Jinkarya, and Sawatari, and to a lesser extent, Mabashi and Ryo Utagawa. Much lesser extent. Well, my favorite's definitely Yoshino Soma, and of course there's Jinkarya. Anyways, moving on, though. Next here I want to talk about Maki Ichinose, who was actually an ex-member of Squad 11. He served under the previous Kenpachi, the one that was before Kenpachi Zaraki, alright, the 10th Kenpachi. Forget what his actual name is. But he opposed to Kenpachi Zaraki because of his methods. He believed that Kenpachi Zaraki didn't interfere and opposed to the fact that he didn't even have a fucking Bankai. And we actually get a flashback scene with him talking to Kaname Tosen, believe it or not. And Kaname obviously agreeing with him, which makes me wonder why Maki Ichinose did not just go along with Tosen, Gin, and Aizen. It would have been kind of interesting. Then again, this is a filler, so obviously, they probably didn't have this character in, but it still would have been kind of cool, though. Alright, I think, anyways. So, yeah. And he ends up serving as one of the antagonists in this arc. He actually ends up facing Kenpachi Zaraki, but not until Season 4. Alright, and I forget what kills him. I think that fight might, he's fucking strong. He gives Kenpachi Zaraki a run for his money, definitely. Now, we do end up seeing his Zanpakuto power before that in Season 3. Or, Season 4. Next season, Season 5. What the fuck am I talking about? And his Zanpakuto power basically deals with light. It basically blinds the enemy and allows him to attack at light speed, which is a pretty cool technique, I have to admit. It's one of my favorites in the series, actually. So, yeah. And he does carry over to Season 5, as I said before. Not really much more to talk about with his character, though, except, you do feel for him. Anyone who hates Kenpachi Zaraki, personally, I love him, but anyone who would hate Kenpachi Zaraki would love this character. Just to let you know. So anyone out here who's watching this, hate Kenpachi Zaraki, you'll love this fucking character. I don't care if he's an enemy, you'll still fucking love this character. Alright, period. So yeah, but not really much more to say about him. Then, of course, there's Ron Tao, who was, as I said, explained before, was the leader, the one who spearheaded the project for the bounce. Alright, and she does end up fighting against them in this arc, though, because, of course, she still loves the Soul Society, and she doesn't want them to hurt it, as well as all the innocent people, that would obviously be caught in the crossfire. So, yeah, and I believe that she does end up, if I remember correctly, yeah, she does end up dying. But not until Season 2, so I'll talk about that in Season 5. So I'll talk about that in my Season 5 review. Alright, but just to say, she's a really cool character. She actually invented a keto gun. Okay, yeah, an actual handheld cannon, really, that can fire blasts of keto. Now, wow. First off, wow, and I thought Kisuke Urahara came up with all the crazy inventions, but that's actually really fucking cool. I don't know why Ichigo doesn't have one of those, or maybe, miniature guns he can hold in his hand to fire keto. I mean, if for some reason he couldn't use his Soul Reaper powers, or his Quincy powers, since we know in this current arc, or his Hollow powers, he could still use keto guns. That would be fucking awesome, okay? Kisuke Urahara, please. Create keto guns from the already existing keto cannon. So yeah, but anyways though, yeah, that's pretty fucking cool. And she's a pretty cool character. Not really much to say though, she doesn't really get much development, but I still think that she's a pretty cool character. So, yeah, I really don't think there's anything else I need to talk about in terms of characters. Those are all the new characters that are worth mentioning, I think. Alright, so yeah. So the only characters I really don't like all that much are Mabashi, Ryo Utagawa, Ho, Ban, and Yoshi. Alright. Those five characters I really don't like all that much. I'm also going to dock points for this season because of the animation, which is great it's Bleach animation, alright? It's great in fights and emotional scenes, not so great any other time. Alright. And the art is, your standard Bleach artwork. I mean, the thing about the fillers is that the fillers have the artwork of the previous movie. I believe that the movie Memories of Nobody was actually out at the time before this filler. So they actually used the art, and I really love the art in Memories of Nobody. I think the art improved substantially with each movie, but I really love the art in Memories of Nobody. It was definitely a much better art in terms of before the movie came out in Bleach. So I think the art's really good here. Voice acting, of course, is great. Troy Baker, as I said before, fantastic job as Jinkarya. Fucking fantastic job as Jinkarya. Alright. And also the music, epic as always. No complaints with the fucking music at all. I believe that the first opening actually continues with Ichi no Hara by High Mighty Color, which of course is a fucking incredible song. I don't remember what the other one is or what the endings are, but I do know they're awesome. I don't remember what they all are, but I've listened to all of the current Bleach openings and endings before, and I love the vast majority of them. So yeah, no complaints there either. Anyways, though, some of my favorite things about this season, though, the sense of danger, because all of the characters in the first season, and yes, we do even see some Soul Reapers, are outmatched. Alright, they are. Even Rukia gets a place in here. Yeah, they actually bring her in. and it's really cool. Other Soul Reapers you see in this specific season would be like Rukia, and you also see Izuru Kira, who comes in. God, I don't remember the others. Uryu, towards the end of the season, does end up getting his powers back briefly, and he actually opens up the Senkaimon at the end of the season to the Soul Society, so the bounce can go through, just so that he can enter and fight them better, so that he can absorb, because he'll be able to absorb Reishi at rapid speed. The one thing he didn't realize is that the bounce can do that as well. That they can do that just the same as the Quincy's can. And really, comparing the bounce to the Quincy's, as Kisuke Uehara says, the bounce are actually really like the Quincy's. They're both born like humans. However, the bounce die, or the Quincy's die like humans, and the bounce are able to live forever by absorbing human souls. That's the only difference, really. And obviously their powers too, you know. But yeah, so anyways, though, I think it's about time to wrap this review up, though. I thought this was very good. It had its down moments, but I still thought it was good. I do definitely recommend it. Alright, you know, obviously the complaints I had, the animation is only good in the fight scenes and the sentimental scenes. Those 5 new characters that I didn't like as well also brings it down a little bit. Also, I didn't like the beginning. The beginning basically had to do with mod souls. Kisuke Uehara was testing our main characters using mod souls to see if they're ready for what's to come, blah blah blah. I did not like the beginning of this season. Alright, I'll tell you that right now. It took up like 2 or 3 episodes, maybe a little bit more than that. I didn't like it. So yeah. And in general, another complaint I had, I did not very much care for the mod souls inclusion in this season in general. Okay? Like, the only mod soul I really care about is Cone. To be perfectly honest with you. Which is why I was surprised I liked the Agote 13 invading army arc so much. I really love that arc, but in general, though, I don't really care much for the mod souls. Okay? The only one I care for is Cone, who happens to be a canon character, by the way. You know, in the actual... He's in the actual manga. But yeah. Anyways, though, I think it's about time to wrap up this review, though. Aside from those 4 complaints, I thought this was a very good season, and I will be reviewing Season 5, the Bounce Invasion on the Soul Society arc, as soon as I can, okay? So yes, but anyways, overall, I'm going to give Bleach Season 4, The Bounce, a well-deserved 7.9 out of 10. It wasn't spectacular. I definitely felt that that Season 5 was a lot better, which I'll obviously explain about when I actually get into it. But it was still really good, I felt. And I do definitely feel that it needs more recognition and popularity and fame, if you will. So yeah, but anyways, overall, I hope you enjoyed this review, guys. These after guys, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.